I would like to highlight a phenomenon whereby a man or a woman who has reached a certain stage in their development, a certain level of knowledge, can be stunted and even set back in their future development due to the interaction they have with the people around them, that they interact with partly or solely. This can be their friends, family, formal society, or even the media they consume that has been produced by people they have never met. Let's say a person has gone through certain events and gained lessons through trial and error. For example, they have invested time in a certain project, be that creative, financial, a hobby, or anything else. They have learned that certain methods work better than others, and thus they would not use the methods that are worse anymore. However, you become involved in a new project, and you are one among many colleagues, and these colleagues insist one or more of the methods that you have tested and know are inferior are actually better methods and should be used. You try to convince them, presenting your arguments, but they either ignore your arguments, just repeating the same lines like, "No, I think our method is more effective," or they present vague counter-arguments without proof, such as, "No, in your case it could have been bad luck, and it is risky, and your arguments are splitting the group." They do not, however, address the key concerns of your arguments. Your arguments seem to fall on deaf ears. You may try other arguments, and it is possible they may succeed in convincing them. Or you may realize that there was a gap in your own arguments, and it is they who are right after all. For example, you didn't take into account the unique condition of the new project that makes the previously bad methods more appropriate in this case. However, it may be the case that you will never convince them. A deeper resentment will grow among you, and you will have wasted your time arguing. In the worst case, you may have already committed to the project, so you cannot leave it despite its imminent failure, and consequently you will lose resources and miss opportunities in your life. You presented perfectly reasonable arguments to the team, based on logic and evidence, and no proof against your argument has showed up since, from the other people in the team or anywhere else in society. But for some reason what you present did not resonate with the rest of the group. Maybe you're a bad presenter and not eloquent enough? But then again, you have not had issues working with people before and you are reasonably social. After all, you already put in a lot of effort in presenting your arguments, and shouldn't the same genuine effort to understand and address your concerns come from the opposite side as well? Is this your delusion? Do you have a blind spot that you cannot find despite all your best efforts? I would argue that no. While it could be the case occasionally, sometimes, however, it is not the fault of the individual that they are set back, but it is the fault of the group for not being able to take up a productive idea, who then, as a result, suffer a setback too. And I believe it scales all the way up through society to mankind itself. Many of us have experienced a sense of distrust in some of the ideas being espoused through mass communications that seem counterproductive to our own success. Development and progress of individuals and groups can be stunted by the unwillingness or inability of the majority to take up productive ideas from the minority. This may be accidental, in other words stupid, or it could be intentional, that is evil. In the case it is the conscious intention to suppress progress. I would call this phenomenon being forced into pointless bickering by an environment of subcompetent or malicious people. So how does one avoid being forced into time-wasting pointless bickering and keep hope for a better future? I think it is not always avoidable. There is always an element of chance that means a danger of wasting your time. However, it might be your best chance to try and recognize ahead of involvement the people and groups who show an inconsistency in their fairness and rationality, and try to avoid them with preference to people who are open to ideas and able to argue productively, all the while being self-aware of your own limits in doing this. A proactive approach like this may help you avoid getting stuck in situations like I described. However, as life can be hard to predict, you may still strike on some bad luck, but I expect to a much lesser extent. Let me know if you have other ideas or experience on how to address these types of situations.